Welcome to the No Name Brand Podcast. My name is Sashka Hanarappel, actress, singer, dancer, turned brand marketing, sales, and advertising strategist who brands your soul. And each week I bring you an inspiring person or message to help you discover your undergod, turn up your leadership notches, challenge the status quo, because you're fast and furious with a powerful message to share with the world. Thank you for taking time out with me today, and without further ado, let's get our creative and wisdom juices flowing. Our next guest is a corporate escapee, now helping women who are fed up of being disenchanted and exhausted to go from barely surviving to absolutely thriving. Now, this lady thrives on variety, on learning new things, on embracing everything that she's passionate about. And she's here with us today on Finding and Living Your Truth. Here she is, CORINNE Worsley. Hello.
Hi, great to be here.
So lovely to have you and to meet you as well.
Thank you. Yeah, you too.
Where are you in the world today?
I am in a little village called Chorleywood.
Where's that?
It's just outside London. It's southwest Hertfordshire.
Oh, lovely, lovely. I'm not there. I'm in Austria. So tell us and share with us how you feel we can manifest the life of our dreams. Is there a magic formula or a starting point?
It's interesting you should say that, actually, because my message is always evolving. And literally yesterday I was having a chat with my coach, and this formula of truth plus energy plus action equals magnificence kind of cropped up in what we were talking about. Yeah, it feels really resonant with my own journey and with hopefully other people's journeys. So knowing who you are, your truth, cultivating great energy, and that's one of my passions, and taking action, all of those three things combined are what leads us to be able to create the life that we want effectively.
Can you repeat that again? That magic formula? I love that. The truth?
Truth plus energy plus action equals magnificence.
I love that. Whose truth? Your truth?
Yeah, your own truth. So in my own journey, what I found is I was living according to other people's truth, other people's rules, whether that be society or the religion that I was brought up in, or just general expectations. And sometimes we lose track of, well, what's actually true for us. So it will be completely individual to every person. There is no one truth, which is what's so fascinating about it. And that's what really lights me up, is waking people up to this fact that they can live a life that is true to them and not true to whatever everybody else is saying it should be.
That's so true, because once you know, or once you discover your truth, or there's an epiphany about it, it releases a lot of energy, good energy. Sometimes it might not look to the outside world as being good because you get put under the fire, whatever, or to the test, but it lands up being good energy. And that's... Yeah. I like that.
Absolutely. And I've personally, I'm learning that my truth and my energy are highly connected. So when I'm out of balance and I'm not connected with my truth, then my energy is all squiffy. It's just, and then life just becomes really, really difficult.
It does, actually. It becomes, climbing lots and lots of stairs. Like, oh God, is there ever an end to this?
Yeah, it becomes like this difference between hard work and devotion. This again is something I've been thinking about recently, because I really have an aversion to this idea of hard work. And when I look back at times in my life when I've been like on it, full of energy, striving, my life has been rammed full, and from the outside might have looked like hard work, but for me it was devotion. I was devoted to what I was doing, and there's a difference, a different energy there between the two.
As humans, our drive is usually to avoid pain, and it's usually far greater than our drive to pursue pleasure.
Yep.
Why do you feel we do this?
Well, I think it's hardwiring. To begin with, it's that fight or flight response, to move away from danger or pain is far greater than the need to move towards pleasure. It's a survival mechanism, I believe. But I'm hoping that we're evolving at that point now where there isn't a lion around every corner.
Dinosaur!
That maybe our biochemistry will evolve to the point where we will move towards pleasure more effectively than moving away from just pain.
And with the hard wiring, I mean, so much of our identity is our truth, and a lot of it is conditioning, like you were saying, the hard wiring and learned behaviors from the people we grew up around, whether it be teachers or family or friends. And if nobody had told us or shown us who to be and how to behave, one does ask, who would I be? And who would you have been, if you can think back that far, had you not had the influence from religion, like you were saying before, or that hard wiring? Would you be who you are today?
It's a good question and a difficult question. And it's one that, I've come across in some of Wayne Dyer's work, is this, who would you be if nobody had ever told you who to be? I do have somewhere in my mind that this almost like sliding doors effect in life, and that no matter what path we take, we always really know who we are. And what I'm doing now in my life is going on that quest to reveal effectively my truth. And I want for other people to be able to do the same thing, rather than getting to 85, 90 years old, knowing what your truth is inside, but you never expressed it. I don't know if that answers the question.
Well, I was just thinking there are so many different spectrums. Someone could really have a hard time, whether it be abuse or whatever, but because of the hard wiring and you're told, oh, you're good for nothing and that you deserve that and everything, that voice that you were talking about, that you know who you are, is so faint. It's so faint to actually hear and go, actually, I'm not. And you do hear it, but it's so overpowered by what I mentioned before, the pain and everyone else's hardwiring. And mindset has so much to do with it. And there's all this cause and effect and victim and conqueror. And we get these labels, and our stories assist us in not taking responsibility for action in our lives. It's very easy to fall into that rabbit hole. Have there been situations in your life where you clung onto your story as your identity? And when did you release it, if you did, to live your truth?
Hell yes, I would say. Yeah, it's so interesting what you're talking about. It's just stuff that I've been discussing with other people recently.
Oh, wow.
And I wrote a whole post a couple of weeks ago about taking responsibility, because I recognized that I'm a great learner. I will seek out resources and help, like from my nutritionist, from a coach, from books. And I started looking at some old notebooks, and I'm doing a clear out because I'm moving house. And it's like 2008, 2009. And every single one of them, this year, that is going to be the year that. And I list out all these issues that I want to deal with. And I'm like, okay, so there's things, some of them haven't shifted.
Oh.
So really, I recognize I fully need to take responsibility. Like, learning about this stuff is not changing things. Say, for instance, in my romantic relationships, that's one of my areas of difficulty, shall we say.
It's rather challenging.
It's challenging, yes. I've not started to act in a different way. Okay, I've understood the thoughts, I've understood the patterns, I've understood why things happen, but I haven't really taken responsibility and started to act in a different way. So that, for me, that's where that action piece, because I had truth plus energy, and then I just thought, that's very nice. But unless you add in action, then life just doesn't change. So yes, absolutely. And I'm always uncovering these areas where I'm claiming that I want something different, but not really like walking my talk. So yeah, that's a big piece of my journey at the moment.
Which is what most of us do, because we like to regurgitate what other people say, what we've read. It makes sense. Yes, it's all wonderful. And then I know for myself, when I read too much or I learn too much, I just have a block. I can't move forward because I need to put everything into action. Otherwise, it's just feels like everything's fermenting around me.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes quite stagnant. And I've had that realization. Okay, you can learn a little bit, but then you need to implement what you've learned, and then you can go back and learn some more.
Exactly. And then fill it up again after you've learned something over there. What has according to the formula, putting for your relationship, for example, putting it into action now, because you've learned the truths and the energies and put it into action. And where's the magnificence coming now?
So the magnificence for me comes in just a greater ease, a sense of ease. So just being able to be myself and act in a way that is in alignment with myself, instead of putting on a persona, or, certainly when it comes to like romantic type things, I have my Paris persona, as I call it, because when I was 20, I lived in Paris. And as a young woman in Paris, you really had to have a persona to stop guys from following you, basically. But I'm now like, you're living in leafy Hertfordshire. You don't need that persona anymore. And that's not me either. I'm quite soft on the inside. So it's about allowing that softness to come through and letting people see me. It sounds really woo-woo, but
I was just listening to, it must have been about 2 days ago now, Katy Perry was on YouTube and she did a interview with a live therapist. That's just who we are. We have all these personas and it's okay to have them all. It's just also finding a balance between all of them. And schizophrenia has always been looked on as really, really bad. I mean, in some cases, yes, because it gets really extreme. But on the other hand, we have all these alter egos within us. And it's what I work with a lot in branding and in marketing, because it's what expresses us. We have our quiet side, we have our loud and boisterous side. And without the yin and the yang, we're incomplete. So it's good that you had the persona and she comes in every now and again, just like, yeah, nope.
Sometimes it's needed. It's a necessary persona. If I go back to Paris, it drops straight back into place.
That's so cool.
But, like I said, in other instances, it's not helpful, because if you have that persona, then guys are instantly like, whoa, steer clear of her. And that's when you attract the wrong ones in as well. And
It's so true. My personal lesson in life one of the lessons in life has been to let go of the tight grip I have on everything, and just to let go just a little bit, and then everything's still going to be okay. The whole world won't crumble. And this tight grip is comparable for me to rock climbing or horse riding, for example. Letting go means losing control, or does it? If you let go, do you lose control?
I would say not. I am also a control enthusiast, let me just say.
I love that term. I'm a control enthusiast. Very subdued.
But I'm also a horse rider.
Oh!
So this year, it's really been teaching me so much, my riding, about the fact that having a tight grip actually makes you less secure than loosening, flowing, and kind of moving with life. And when you have that tight grip, I feel like you have fewer options, and there's no wriggle room. So if the one thing that you desperately, desperately want doesn't manifest exactly as you want it, then all is lost. Whereas if you allow yourself to flow more with life and control less, then the universe probably has a better idea or a better plan than you had. So yeah, it's a work in progress for me, but I do believe that loosening the grip a little bit just makes life more pleasant, easier, flow more. And that's, for me, that's what I'm after anyway. I don't know about anybody else.
In one of the interviews that I was having with someone, I can't recall it now, they mentioned that wisdom for them means age. And I was just, it reminded me now when you were talking how letting go, do you think it has something to do with age?
It's a good question. I wonder, I think about getting to the comparison trap here, but other people I see who look like they let go much more easily at a younger age. But I think it's individual. In my case, yeah, wisdom and age go hand in hand. This is why, when people turn, like my sister turned 30 and she was depressed that she was turning 30. It's like, oh, don't be ridiculous. This is like the best decade so far. It just gets better as I know myself more and as I become wiser, I hope.
We all become wiser. We're just wise Buddhas. That's what we are. What are the things you don't believe about in your industry?
I don't believe there's a quick fix.
Well,
I don't like the term that we need to be fixed.
Love that.
No, we don't need to be fixed. There isn't a quick fix. I almost feel like on my website I need to put a caveat on, say I do a 6-month program or something, like it will probably take longer than this. Or, this is a lifetime's work, because I started my journey, as you might call it, about 9 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Oh my goodness. And it's just, from what I thought was just working on a little bit of perfectionism, has expanded into this massive awakening. Yeah. So I think the quick fix and the 5 ways to change your life. Oh, okay. Well, I suppose you can give the headlines, but underneath those headlines are a lot more layers.
Yeah. I mean, everything takes time. Can you remember, or do you recall that shake-up moment when it was for you where you were like, this is where I'm moving from. This is where I'm changing.
So I've had probably 2 shake-up moments, but the first one was when I was late 20s, I decided to stop going to church.
You're going to go to hell.
Oh yeah, that was the exact thought that was like, I am definitely going to hell now. I was worried about it before, but now I'm certain that's where I'm going. And because I would just, since year 0, I had been brought up in a religious, but I just felt so wrong. I kept going to these church services. I had all these questions. Nobody else was asking questions. And I just felt so incongruent. Eventually, I just thought, let me just take a break and stop. And it was the best thing that I did, but it rocked my world, because it was like I'd had these blinkers on. I'd been judging everybody else by my religious standards, and I was safe because I was following the rules. And now I wasn't following the rules anymore. And also there was a big gap left when it comes to that kind of spiritual aspect. It was like, well, if I don't believe in that, then what do I believe in? So that has been a massive part of my journey, but that was the first real, like, rock your world kind of event for me.
That's amazing. So it fits very well with your message of living your truth, because it started with that spiritual path. That was the shake-up path.
Yeah, absolutely. And interestingly, I feel more spiritual now than I felt when I was in that religion, because it was a religion that I never really connected with, and which doesn't surprise me now that I'm looking at the patriarchy around it and all of that stuff. I'm like, oh, there's not a surprise that this was not the place for me. Where now I do my A Course in Miracles practice. I'm really getting quite regular with that, and I meditate. I'm far more spiritual now than I was before, and this feels much truer for me than Christian religion did.
I remember I grew up Catholic and Baptist, and 2 extremes.
Oh yeah.
And I was so happy-go-lucky. I was just going with the flow with everyone, trying to please everyone at the same time. But I had fun. I really had a lot of fun in church. And by the way, I saw a lot of my friends being dissed in church, and they were being reprimanded. And I wasn't questioning the church. I was questioning, why is the church being angry with them? Like, I don't understand why they're being angry with these people. I mean, they're just living life. And that's where my thing came, where I started asking my questions. I was like, why are they being reprimanded when they're 16 and they like each other and they're not allowed to hold hands? I don't understand that. Where's the problem over there? Or they've left home, and why is that such a big problem? Or they're not going to church. And that was my journey for spiritual questions. We're challenging the status quo over there, and always seeing it's not always just black and white. There's always 2 sides to a story. So yeah, my little journey. But I didn't go to hell. You neither. So we're all fine.
Yeah. So far,
everything's all right. Lightning hasn't struck me yet.
No.
All right. Tell me 3 things that people should know about you.
3 things people should know about me.
Or maybe actually 4 things, because I like to work in uneven numbers, but I think it suits very well with your formula, the 4 things. So the truth, the energy, the action, and the magnificence.
The first thing I would say is that I'm complex. So I have so many facets to my personality. So sometimes I can surprise people with that. A second thing is that I am a combination of practical and spiritual. So I have a real practical side to me, which is probably why I was in corporate and trained as an accountant. And I almost deliberately tried to move away from my literature studies at university. I was like, I want a right and wrong answer. And then the spirituality. So there's those 2 things for me that go hand in hand. I love to move. Movement is so massive for me, whether that be horse riding, dancing, working out, walking, and that's a big part of the energy piece of what I work with people on. And the 4th thing I think is that I'm still on my journey. So I'm not proclaiming to be a guru who has all of the answers. Each of us has the answers for ourselves. I just want to wake people up and bring them along on this path with me, so that I'm not going it alone effectively. But I am still on my path, maybe just a few steps ahead of some people.
I love that. So what do you actually do? Explain to our listeners, what is it that you actually do? What journey are you on?
So do you mean working with my clients or personally? So working with my clients. Yeah. So with clients, it's just an initial conversation. to see where they are and to look at different areas of their life. I'm sure some of your listeners are familiar with the wheel of life. I'm kind of in the process of developing a wheel of truth rather than a wheel of life. Just different areas where people can say how satisfied or not they are with those areas, and then start digging into why and which areas they want to work on as well. Because sometimes we're not that fussed. If one of them's like just middle of the road, we're like, okay, fine, I can deal with that later. And then it's really individual to each client as to just exploring their stories, the limitations that they've put on themselves or that other people have put on themselves. It's like lifting a veil or changing a lens. It's giving somebody just a different perspective. It's almost like mirroring back to them what they're saying and then questioning that. Is that really true? According to who? Just trying to open up different possibilities. And then from an energy perspective, I'm qualifying to be a personal trainer, so I have that fitness background. I also do a lot of reading around nutrition. My amazing nutritionist, Dr. Libby Weaver, I'm always learning from her. So I'm really keen on energy, and I've suffered from adrenal fatigue myself. So I'm just coming out the other side of that, and that was a corporate hangover, really. I want to prevent people from going in, like getting so exhausted and being so far from their truth that that's where they end up. So yeah, sleep, food, water, movement, like what are your hormones doing, all of those things I will talk about at a high-ish level with them, just to try and find ways to get their energy back in alignment. And hopefully the other work gets them to start uncovering the truth of who they are, and those things combined with some action are what enables people to change their lives.
Love that, to bring around magnificence.
Yes.
Can you name us 5 main things to start living your truth today for our listeners? 5 things where they can go, so today I'm not going to write that list of what I intend to do, but I am going to actually put it into action.
I would say meditation is my first thing. Totally, I was that girl a few years ago who was like, I am too busy to meditate. Who has time for that? But now it's like a staple, even if it's just starting with 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just sort of like opening up that pathway to your intuition, getting in touch with it and starting to believe that little faint voice, or starting to even hear it. That's definitely one for me. Movement. Even if it's just going for a walk for 10 minutes, it helps to release anxiety. The fresh air is good for you. It's a change of perspective. So rather than, I'd quite like to go to that dance class, I'll maybe do that in a few weeks' time. Why are you doing it in a few weeks' time? Like, do it ASAP, basically. I would say some journaling as well, because I do love to write, and things tend to flow through when I'm writing.
I love that too. I love journaling.
Yeah, it tends to just ideas flow through. Yeah, writing down the things that you want to change, and then one tiny thing that you can actually do to move towards making a change. And I would also say talking. Speaking, for me, things come out that I didn't even know were in my head sometimes when I speak.
That's your persona coming out again.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, that was really good.
Did someone record that? Record that?
Sometimes I feel like that with my clients. I need to ask them, what did I actually tell you to do that's made such a change for you? And yeah, especially like having someone to bounce, someone who's on a level, someone who you can connect with, who you can bounce your thoughts off.
Very
because
important.
it is sometimes when you verbalize something, it comes out and you think, oh my God, that's a ridiculous like idea, or that's a ridiculous belief to have, when you say it actually out loud. So that's 4, isn't it? And 5, the 5th thing for me that I'm rediscovering is music, just to brighten up my day, just gets something going inside me, piece of cheesy pop music, whatever it is, just to lift your spirits and lift your mood and get you into the vortex, as my business coach would call it, get you into a good place.
I love that song. Music was my first love. Oh, so lovely. We're coming to the end, unfortunately. And for each of my guests, I ask them 2 questions and hearing your take on it. So the first question is, how do you want to change or challenge the world doing what you do?
I want to wake people up. I want to lift that lens that so many people see life through, which is a lens of fear. Not to say that I don't look through that lens, still, but just waking people up to the possibilities that there are out there for us.
I love that. We all do need to be woken up in a lot of aspects. I love that. These are my 3 core values, and I'd like to hear your take on them by filling in the blanks. Creativity for you is?
It's unique to who you are. So for so long, I wandered around going, I'm not creative because I'm not very good at drawing.
That's what we all think creativity.
Yeah, I know. They're like, hang on a minute, you can choreograph dance routines, you can write blog posts, like you could sing. Like, how is that not creative? So yeah, it's totally unique to who you are, and it's not just one thing.
I love that. Wisdom for you is?
For me, wisdom is internal. So we can learn from books, we can learn from other people, but ultimately the wisdom for ourselves lies within us.
Love that. Passion for you is?
Everything. Yeah, everything. That's one of my core values, passion, and without it, life is just bleh.
What's it in French? Tout à l'heure. What's it? Everything? Can't remember now. Got my French.
Everything. Tous, yeah.
Tooth. Well, there we go. We have some tooth happening. Thank you so much, Corinne, for being with us here today and sharing your truth with us and your really cool formula. I love it. Also to tweet it out. You'll find out more about Corinne in the show notes and her social media handles, her favorite book, favorite quote. And if you have any questions, to go onto her website and drop her an email and find out more about her. Just have a nice little chat,
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram. I'm doing Instagram stories a lot at the moment. So.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
We love trying out new things. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for being with us. And
absolute pleasure.
Wishing you lots of truth bombs and living it to the fullest.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Dang, that was just supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. I enjoyed having you on board, and please do me and you a favor. Head on over to iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. Click subscribe, and a super bonus, leave your review and you stand a chance of being announced and advertised on the show. I'm always striving to ensure that your brand is uplifted and empowered. Remember, done is better than perfect. So be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and send in your feedback too. You're the absolute best. Keep rocking.